Hey guys, welcome to your official first math lesson. So as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at some geometry curriculum this year. So although we'll still be kind of incorporating some algebra, like using equations and some other skills that we've learned in class, we're going to kind of flip it up this year and look at something different. So first to just kind of review procedures and what I was thinking. The first day of class, I would like for you to review kind of what we typically do in class with our instructions. So I'm going to go over like a PowerPoint or a guided note sheet, and kind of explaining the content that I want you to learn that day. And then also hopefully provide some additional resources that you can use online if you're confused or you would like some extra practice. Or also I encourage you to please reach out and either inbox me on the Canvas structure or use Microsoft Teams and send me a chat. And we can make arrangements to get you some extra help. So let's take a look at some geometry. So to dive in, the first thing we're going to take a look at are the basic elements of geometry, which include points, lines, rays, segments, and planes. These are all considered the fundamental building blocks of geometry and are highly used throughout most of the units of study. So here we go. This is where it kind of all starts. So taking a look at the first element here. So it's a point, an exact location in space. It's just anywhere. A point's just a spot. It has no size whatsoever. It's simply a way to identify certain locations. So hey, right here or over here. So you can see the picture here. It's a dot and a letter, and that's exactly how we label it. So in geometry, how we label things is greatly important because then it also clues the reader in or whoever's looking at the work to exactly where you're talking about and what structure you're meaning. So taking a look at their names, let's see if I can move on over to my toolbar here. And I'm working with a stylus, so bear with me. This is my first time too, so hopefully it's legible. So as far as the label here, when we're taking a look at a point, you can use the symbol along with a letter, or you can use an abbreviation like PT for point, and then again a letter. Note that it's a capital letter. It should always be a capital letter, and that's how you also see it in the graphics. So let's say you have 2 points. Then you actually could connect them and have something else. So the next structure we're going to take a look at would be what is known as a line. So again, we've got our 2 points. If we would connect them with arrows on the end, this would be considered a line. Now, along that line, there are many little points that are considered on that line, but there are 2 distinct points labeled, point A and point B. Now, just to note, this line below looks about 3 inches long. However, it's not actually true in geometry because of these arrows that are on the end. It means it extends in both directions forever. So in actuality, the line that you're looking at there is actually a line of infinity. It goes on in both directions forever. So as far as a label, we use those, again, capital letters or the capital points that are part of it. And the order doesn't matter. We could say AB, and the other part is that we put the notation above it. And again, you're just drawing a mini version of the figure. Or you could switch it up and we could also say that this is line BA. So again, we could write it using those capital letters in both ways. A less common way, but important to note, is sometimes there is a single lowercase cursive letter. So sorry guys, that's an M. I could also label that line as simply using that cursive letter. Okay, so in geometry, they're often incorporated into a larger figure. So below that is a figure that contains points and lines. So if we're going to label some of those, the points are pretty easy. Just remember there are different ways you could label them, and as long as it's correct, you're free to use whichever one you want. So in this picture, you should see all of these different points. So we've got point A, we could say we have point B. So if you're just simply to ask different parts, you could go down and label them accordingly. So remember, you can use the abbreviation as well to say the location. As far as lines, remember you can use 2 capital letters to identify what line, and then also use the symbol above it. So I could see this line right here contains the point A and B. So I could say one of the lines in that geometric figure is AB. I could also label the other line here, and I only need 2 points. I could say line DH, I could say line HD, I could use the G and the H to label it. You could do it many different ways. So I'm going to draw my symbol, and I'm going to call that line GH. Again, I could also say that that same line is HT, and you're free to use the other letter D. But you're referring to that pink letter or that pink line, no matter how you label it. So even if I put DH, the symbol above it tells me that I am including all of the points on the pink line. All right, so taking a look at a line segment. So the lines in geometry that appear what they are called a line segment. This line right here is exactly as long as it looks. They have endpoints, which is what defines their starting and stopping points. These endpoints are used all the time to label the line segment, and line segments in general are the most commonly used, in my opinion, most commonly used element of geometry. So it's very important that we know them. As far as labels, again, the order does not matter, and you simply use the symbol above it. So I could call this line AB, or I could call it line segment AB or line segment BA. Again, always use capitals, and that's how you'll see them appear in the figure. The next one here is a ray, and I always think of a ray of sunshine because it has a starting point and extends infinitely in one direction. So think of that ray of sunshine just coming down off the sun and coming down to you on Earth. That's what a ray would be. So it's labeled using its endpoint out towards the arrow, and this time the order does matter. You have to start, and I always think, where does the sunshine come from? The starting point, the sun. So you always have to label it doing so in that order. So this would have to be ray AB. There actually is no other way to write it, so I'm just going to go ahead and scratch that out. But again, we're using capital letters when we're identifying these elements. All right, so taking a look at these figures when they're put together, so looking specifically at those segments and rays, there's so many options. So I'm just going to go through and give you some examples. So remember, segments are line segments that contain 2 points, and they have a distinct start and stopping location. So just like when it was by itself, now you see it in a figure. We have line segment AB. And remember, the order doesn't matter of the letters, guys, just that it's capitals. So I could say segment AB, or I could actually say segment BA. When you're taking a look at that, you know that you're looking specifically at this segment right in between A and B. Okay, so looking at another segment, I could be looking at this right here, that line segment DH. And again, I could label it HD. You guys don't have to label them both ways. I'm just showing you that so that you remember line segments can go either direction. You could also even look at a bigger segment there, GH. But note, we would be starting here at G and extending down only to H, not past any of this other portion out. So looking at rays, oh, sorry, I forgot the label for GH there. So taking a look at rays, that ray of sunshine. So it has a distinct starting point, like A, and you're extending clear out to the arrow this time because it is actually extending beyond the arrow, but it shows up just as the arrow on paper. So ray, again, capital letters. And remember, rays are the one element that the order does matter. We have to start at the sun or starting point and moving out towards the arrow. So that would be ray AB. If I wanted to include this little line segment out to the arrow, all I have to do is change that symbol to let somebody know that I'm referring to the segment out to the symbol to make it ray. And again, order does matter. I'm starting at the point GH. I could go from D out to B, and we would know it's a ray by my symbol. All right, looking at the last figure here, it is called a plane. So in geometry, this is like a piece of paper, slanted, but it's just a flat surface that ends in all directions. It's labeled using 3 non-collinear points. And guys, we're going to go over what non-collinear points means in a later lesson, but you're looking at any kind of points inside, and you just have to make sure that you have 3. So in our example down here, this would be considered plain ABC. Unfortunately, there's no kind of shortcut. You just have to write out the word plain and then ABC. The only way to really shorten it, if it does have a capital, or I'm sorry, if it does have a cursive letter, you can also identify it by that. Again, you have to write the word plain and then use the cursive letter. Capitals are still encouraged. They're shown as such in the figures, and it's also important that you are labeling them using capital letters. So those are the basic fundamental elements that we're going to be using continuously in a lot of lessons. So I hope that you take your time and you are aware of all the different attributes and can identify them. So read over the notes. As I mentioned, the guided note sheet will be filled out that you can reference when you're filling in your assignments. Ask for help if you need it. Reach out either via Teams on the chat feature, or you can also send me an inbox, and hopefully I can answer any questions that you still have. So that's your first day, and then again, tomorrow will be your second day with the lesson. I'd like for you to complete the activity and assignment, again, using the note sheet as needed to complete and show me that you understand these basic elements. So good luck. Let me know if you need any help.